Change. Just what is change and how does it affect us in our daily lives? I mean, change has been a huge part of the society and human lives for centuries because without change, we wouldn't be able to come this far. We would just die as monkeys. We have conquered the world through change. We have evolved into humans and we have evolved to be this smart. But this doesn't apply to us anymore. I'm more interested in how change applies to us in our day-to-day lives. And what does it truly mean to change in the 21st century? And I feel like Mob Psycho 100 and Berserk give some really good answers to these questions. This is your boy Irui and today we are learning about life through anime. I'm going to be real with you. Changing yourself is probably the hardest thing you can do in life. Because whenever you start working to be a better person, it feels like the whole world starts going against you. Think about it like this. Your friends and your family have seen you in a certain way for so long, it might be 10 or even 20 years. They have seen you behave in a similar way, and then suddenly you start changing. What's the first natural response to that from everyone? Do they support you? Do they encourage you? It's none of that. First, they will also have to start changing the way they interact with you. Whether you want it or not, whenever you are changing yourself, you are also unintentionally changing everyone around you. And that's a very uncomfortable feeling for most people. I mean, you have already been labeled and put in a box in so many people's minds. And the moment you start acting out of that box, even if it's for the better and even if you are making major improvements, the first response will always be resistance. People will try to keep you bound to that box because the moment you start acting out of order, you are letting down everyone's expectations of what they think you should be like. I know it sounds crazy, but everyone does this subconsciously. You will cause everyone around you discomfort, so they will start pushing you back and prompting you to go back to your older self. And this can come in different ways. Some people may crack jokes at you saying that you look weird trying to change, and some people may even go batshit crazy on you and try to kill you. But I think there is a healthy way to go around it as well, and anime has both sides of the stories perfectly described. Spoilers ahead if you haven't watched Berserk and Mob Psycho. Guts and Grifith have a very complex relationship. It's nothing like the stuff I have seen in any other series. At first, Guts considered himself a friend of Grifith, but then we find out Grifith's outlook on how friends should be, which I think is a really interesting topic, deserving for its own whole video. But to quickly summarize it, Grifith doesn't think that you can be friends with someone if they don't stand on the same level as you. And if they aren't willing to sacrifice your friendship for their goals, he can't call them friends. When Guts hears this, he realizes that he has been nothing but a pawn to Grifith, using him the way he wanted, and for the first time in life, Guts decides to change himself. But this is such an interesting change as well, because at first, the reason he wanted to change was just so Grifith could have a friend, in my opinion. He wanted to be equal to him just because in Guts' mind, Grifith was a lonely man. And he truly was. But even though Guts had such good intentions behind his change, how did Grifith respond? He fucking snapped. This is what I was talking about when I said that people will always resist your changes. Every Band of the Hawk member was like a pawn to Grifith, and when they acted out of order, he got scared. It didn't matter to him that Guts had good intentions. He was so used to Guts not thinking at all and just cluelessly swinging his sword around for his sake that even the thought of Guts suddenly changing mentally traumatized the guy. That's how deep this problem runs. Mind you, not every case in your life will be this extreme, but you never know. Now, for Mob and Reigen, I want to talk about a certain episode. I feel like the way they adapted to change is by far the healthiest way you could go about it. Mob and Reigen had been working together for so long that they ended up depending on each other too much. Reigen was using Mob non-stop, not thinking about his daily life at all and only seeing him as a tool to help in his work. And Mob had grown so attached to Reigen that he wasn't even second guessing whatever his master said, and a really good relationship had turned into a really toxic one between them. But after Mob joined the Body Improvement Club, his whole persona slowly but surely started changing. He was developing a social life, making friends and doing different activities. He was outgrowing Reigen because while Mob was growing, Reigen was staying the same. And what was Reigen's answer to Mob changing? Resistance to the maximum. In my opinion, he even took it too far with Mob. He said things that he shouldn't have said and that really hurt Mob's feelings, but it was okay. It's okay to make those stupid mistakes in the beginning so you can actually learn how to accept people changing. The truth is, Reigen wasn't a bad guy. He wanted Mob to change for the better, but it was just so sudden for him that he didn't know how to act. Reigen saying all those bad things to Mob was a self-defense mechanism. He was so used to Mob following his orders from childhood that him changing was unfathomable to Reigen. He was the one holding Mob from really enjoying his youth, and he realizes all of this, but not before he reaches the lowest point that he has been in his life. First, he changes in all the wrong ways to truly find a healthy way to accept Mob as who he is now, and that is to change along with him. The only way to match Mob was for Reigen to grow alongside him. Now, what can you take away from this video? In life, change won't come easily. It will be one of the hardest things you do, and there will definitely be stepbacks, but make sure the people you choose to surround yourself with will not be scared of you changing, and will match you in every way possible. They will try to keep up with you and overtake you, because these are the people who truly make us better human beings. The ones who keep up with us in the toughest situations, and the ones who push us beyond our limits. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like. This has been your boy Irui, and see you in the next one, motherfucker!